What's up, YouTube? VidVulture here. Been a while since I checked in. Someone sent me an email, said there was someone out there in social media land saying I was in a motorcycle accident and something or other died or something. So I figured I'd make a little video, say what's up. Fizz, what's up? Good morning, Fizz. Hi, Fizz. Hi, Fizz. You're my friend, Fizz. Look at this guy. Recent development. Our friend Smiley had to have his eye taken out just a couple days ago. Look at this. Hi. Looks like he did a good job. So now I have two one-eye cats. He had been blind for a long time. I didn't know when he was younger. But I have a new cat that was, I think, raised. This one was raised in a house, I think, with like a little boy that was like yanking on her tail, something like that. So she's sketchy. She kept smacking him in the side of his head and he couldn't see it, so she kept clawing him in that eye and it got real nasty. Alright, so I figured I'd make this little video. And I scavenge. This is stuff laying around out here. And got myself one of these for my bedroom. Nice air purifier. Might want to look into that, especially if you're getting older. So, went through the rain the other day. Look at that. Got some driftwood over here. Making a big cage for my snake. It's a black snake. He likes to climb. Nice driftwood. I'm buying stuff now instead of getting it for free out of the garbage. Got my bike farkled up. Got some farkle. I think that's hilarious. The term farkle actually means putting stuff, customizing your bike with stuff like that. Farkle. So, Keesh, hi everybody. So I had all this stuff laying around here. Like I have, like this stuff I kept, like rocks and bricks and pots, little pots for flowers and plants and stuff. And it started disappearing. Some new people live down here. So, someone starts taking your stuff and you're like, man, what? Inside you're like, why is he taking my stuff? Why you're taking my stuff? It's my stuff. I got stuff. Why are you taking my stuff? But I just figured I'd send you a little message. And about 30 years ago in an AA meeting, I saw a elderly man. He probably doesn't care I talk about it now. He probably would be overwhelmed with joy and happiness if he knew I was sending out his message 30 some years later. Hooch! But he, so the people that moved in here, they started taking my stuff. Those are the bricks I found in dumpsters, around dumpsters and stuff. So, just keep in mind, it's just stuff, I just have crap laying around. Who's taking my crap? Damn it. And then you realize who it is, why they're taking it. I just thought I'd send you this little message. I'll tell you about the old drunk guy here in a second, or the recovered drunk guy. Look at this, folks. This is video worthy stuff right here. This is where my pots and plant, my little spice maker grinder thing. Stuff started disappearing. This is my, I was using that for my dog water bowl, and those were mine. And I was like, where's my stuff going? And then I turned the corner and I looked, and look what he's done with my stuff. Little bonsai trees. He's a master bonsai tree maker. Look at that. Huh? What do you think about that, folks? My goodness. Huh? He's going out. I see him out in the fields and stuff. He's finding these little trees. Look at this one. Look at that. Let me get a good shot of that. Huh? I think that's a little maple tree, if I'm not mistaken. Was that ginkgo? Little ginkgo trees? Look at that. Huh? That was my little spice grinder deal. I was kind of upset when I saw it disappear. But then I realized what he's doing with it. And so then I gave him all my stuff that was laying out there. I was like, take it. There's my fish aquarium thing. And then just look at this. He's a master bonsai maker. He's like a peaceful dude. He said, I don't like money. I was like, man, I can sell these for you. You could get hundreds of dollars. That's how nice that is over there. And he's got his whole little bonsai set up down through here. Seedlings and whatever you call it, right? He's turned this into like a little garden, right? He's clean this whole place up. And part of the reason I like it is, look, he's a scavenger. These are the boards that are falling off the rotten balconies and stuff up there. There's my lava rocks I had in my aquarium. Pot holder. I found that dumpster diving. The metal pot holder. He's got setting up all these little gardens. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. So these are trees, right? They're not weeds or plants. They're woody. What do you call that? Dichotic or something? Dicots, something like that. They're little trees. He's finding these little trees. Look at that. I think that's a little maple tree. Look at that one. Huh? Let's get a shot of that. Wow, look at that. Huh? He's just like a super peaceful kind of Zen. He's Chinese. I should have said that at the start. Chinese folks moved in here. And I just thought I'd bring you that little message of happiness and joy. So back to the story. I didn't have time to spit it out by the time I turned the corner. An elderly guy. He'd spent his whole life drinking, and I don't know if he was drugging, but he was a drunk in an AA meeting, old timer, and so he'd lived this. He was probably about pushing 80 years old, and so he'd lived this life of being a drunk. So all that entails, right? And then he sobered up later in life, and I just remember listening to him speak one day, and he talked about. So I got to stop my dog from pissing and pooping over here. That's how we first met. He left a note on my door about my dog poop. And, at first I was like, you just get you're like, what are you talking about? My dog's been here 10 years, blah, blah. But then you see he's creating this Zen garden. And it's like, okay, Chris, get the hell out of here. Go. He's right. Get out of here. But, it was just a mess. Who cares if dog pooped over there before? It's just a disaster area. But, so I'm training her to stay away from that stuff. But there's a set of train tracks over here. I think about this guy sometimes. He went and he was sitting in an AA meeting, and he was telling a story about how he just one day he just went for a walk down the train tracks. He was just walking. Now this was a drunk that had lived a drunk life, and lots of folks out there can just imagine what an entire life of being a drunk's like. And he sobered up, and he went out on a nice, beautiful, sunny, warm day, and just went walking down the train tracks, and he came across a bird's nest, and I'll never forget this story. He's telling it a lot better than me, trust me. And he went up to he saw a bird nest, and he went up to it, and there was little baby birds in there, and the mama was coming and feeding them and whatnot. And he just sat there for a while and just watched them, and he just became overwhelmed with joy and happiness, right? he just couldn't believe that his life had gotten so great that he could that he could walk down this train tracks and find this little bird nest, and he just found it so joyful and made him so happy. And he told it a lot better than I did, trust me. I didn't do a very good job telling this story, but you get the gist, right? The world can be a beautiful place if you want it to be, if you choose. But anyway, Hooch, you gonna take stinky poo? Let's go. You got some rabbits. Groundhog, 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 groundhog. Sniff it, sniff for groundhog. Groundhog, groundhog. Sniff it. All right, I'm out of here. Oh, another note. Social media can be really bad for you. I'm sure you've heard that, and I'm sure you're aware of that. When I first started making YouTube videos, I didn't even know about notifications. I didn't have a smartphone or nothing. And I came across a scavenging issue with finding food in a dumpster. And it was the very first messages, notifications I ever got on my computer in my living room. It was quite shocking to me. Some guy's harassing me and basically threatening me because I said taking food out of a dumpster and anonymously putting it in a food bank or shelter is really fucking dangerous. Excuse my language, but it is, right? But just me saying that, like, my point is you got to be careful, because there's people out there. Social media can basically brainwash you. So just my message would be just think for yourself. Right? There's people out there brainwashed into thinking there's nothing wrong with taking food out of a dumpster, particularly when steel dumpsters get over 200 degrees in the summer. Right? It's food, and then they're taking it and they're putting it into a homeless shelter for homeless people to eat. That's extremely wrong. But I'm not going to go down that road. But that's what I was saying. And I attracted the attention from some food bandits warriors. The food garbage warriors or something. Right? So you got to watch out for crap like that. Don't fall into a psychosis. I'm out. Later. Thanks for watching.